Good evening, everyone. Hope you guys are having a wonderful week. It's it's Wednesday. It is Wednesday, right? Wait, let me check the calendar. I'm so lost with all my days. I don't even know. Yeah, it is Wednesday, the 27th of I was about to say October of August. Yeah, my time clock is really off. How is everyone tonight? Hope you guys are having a great week. Um, I just kind of decided to come on live here tonight because I'm playing catch up again on the butterfly quilt. So I figured, you know what? Why not turn on the camera and let's make some, or let's just stay on maybe for an hour to an hour and a half or so. Okay, so that's what we're doing here tonight. And I figure you guys can, I don't know, chat with me alongside with it. So let's see who's here tonight. Hello, Miss Kim. Glad you made it here tonight. We got Molly Fisher here. Hi, Molly. We got Miss Cindy. That's Icy. Hi, Cindy. Diane Wilson is here. Hi, Diane. Miss Nancy. Guess who it is? Hello, Nancy. Thanks for stopping by. Sylvia Demaris is here. Hi, Sylvia. Suzanne Taylor is saying hello. Hello, Suzanne. How's everyone? That's Molly asking. I'm doing good. Playing catch up still, but hopefully we'll get caught up with all of this because I know Tiffany's about ready to put her whole quilt together. So I need to catch up. Made by Misty. Hello. Was just sitting down to sew myself a new bag. Glad to have some company. Okay, well, glad you made it here tonight. Let's see, Linda Faust is here. Hi, Linda. And Ms. Remo J. How you doing, girl? Glad you made it here tonight. She's reminding everybody to thumbs up. Thank you, Remo. And Maria Nunez. Hi, Maria. Let's see. And did I miss anyone? If I missed anyone, I am so sorry. Well, there's a name I haven't seen in a while. Hey, Miss Sheila. How you doing, girl? Glad you made it here tonight. Let's see. We got Jan F here. Hello, Jan. Claudia Lautenschlager is here. Hello, Claudia. Okay. So, let's see. Can I do this? So again, for those of you who have been following us, sorry, I am catching up, or I'm playing catch up on the Tula Pink Butterfly Quilt version number 2. Okay. And I am doing this in conjunction with Miss Tiffany of Tiffany's Quilting Life. And as usual, she's way ahead of me because she is super speedy fast on just about everything that she does. So I am the slowpoke here. I'm just playing catch up with a lot of this stuff. So yeah, I need to get caught up with it. Now, what I'm working on is there are 136 half square triangles that I have to do for the entire quilt. And so I've been, well, let me show you. I have been slowly working my way through it. This is about half of what I need, and I'm just doing it in the various colors with the whole rainbow schematic. So I think last I counted, this was 68, halfway there. So each one of these, there's 4 of them in each of these, behind each of these, and then I put it in stacks of 4, or 4 there's 4 in each of these stacks, and then I'm trying to fill up 4 various shades of whatever color is what I'm trying to say. So a smorgasbord of half square triangles. So yeah, that's what I'm working on. And if you are doing the quilt or following along and you got version 2 of this pattern, just know that I kind of noticed that they gave a wrong cut size when it comes to the half square triangles. I think they might have purposely overstated how much or how big to cut your fabric pieces, because they want, I guess they want you to have like an exact, where like where the diagonal goes right into the corner, which is fine. If you're comfortable with making half square triangles using the 2 at a time half square triangle method, where you draw the center diagonal and then you sew a 1/4 inch away from that, you don't need to follow, or you can kind of adjust the size by adjust the size square that you cut by about 1/2 inch. But if you're not comfortable with doing half square triangles, you can just cut it oversized and then trim it down. Yeah. Sorry, I'm being tongue-tied today. And Suzanne Taylor says, Eric, give yourself grace as you have a full-time job that takes up your sewing time. Well, thank you, Suzanne. That is very, very true. Yeah, there's been a lot going on at work too. So last week Tuesday, I stayed all night and didn't actually leave the office until Wednesday afternoon, just working on a project because, well, there's a lot going on at work. So yeah, that cut into my sewing time. And that was just so happened to be the day that I was planning on coming home early to do a live session, but nope, that just did not happen. I think I did end up going live on Friday though. Yeah. And today or tonight was something totally spontaneous. So Wanda Rogers. Sorry, Sorry about that. Okay. So what is everyone up to tonight? Anybody else sewing? I know this was kind of an unannounced or unplanned live. I just kind of did it at the last minute. Because I really want to get over this hump of doing 136 half square triangles. Okay. And we'll see how many I get done. Oh, shoot. Yep, I felt that one. Okay. Sorry, the thread snapped. And I felt that one. So let's rethread the machine here. We'll rethread the machine. Wait, oh, putting it in the wrong way. That's why. I tell you guys, I'll say this. I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. These needle threaders, they're a lifesaver. What would I do without it? And we'll flip this around and whoops. Okay, we'll snip this. Kind of not used to having that hang off. Okay, and we will... Part of the reason why this is taking me so long is because I am chain piecing 2 of them at a time, but I'm also cutting it, squaring it up, and trimming it down all at the same time. So yeah, that's part of what's slowing me down. Suzanne Taylor says she is working on a 3D stacker quilt, and it's a doozy. Okay. Linda Fugate says, I spent the day cutting and assembling fidgets for craft shows and teachers to use in the classrooms. Oh, that's nice. Sylvia Demara says, I'm making a berry cobbler. Ooh, save me a slice. Well, I shouldn't be eating it because my sugar is out of whack right now, but you can, I can eat vicariously through you. Couldn't I? Let's see. Hi, Nancy Evans. We know how fast Tiffany sews, which is wonderful, but just be yourself and sew as you can. Well, thank you, Nancy. Whoops, both cameras went off. Sorry about that. Wanda Rogers says she is just relaxing after catching up with canning, and she will be sewing tomorrow. Okay. And Deanna James says, I organized my sewing room this past weekend and will be creating a memory quilt topper and thrifted 2 multi-bin drawers for my supplies and will be cutting quilt pieces tomorrow. Ooh. So you guys are being productive. That's wonderful. Yeah, I've been actually kind of decluttering a lot of stuff and just taking my time with it. And it's not just my sewing space, it's my whole house or the whole apartment in general. Ooh, I gotta watch it. Kind of waving around with the rotary cutter there. And, you know, I'm finding stuff. I'm throwing away old furniture or just kind of giving it away to people. And I'm finding things that I forgot that I had that was hidden in bins when I moved and never unpacked it. Can you guys believe, you know, I just realized this. I've been here for over a year now. Yeah, it was last July that I moved. I can't believe how time has definitely flown by. Kim Burris says that she has a table runner ready to quilt. Oh, is this the last one? Oh, okay. Okay, so once again, if you have or if you haven't been following, I know some of you have been kind of, you show up when you show up, which is okay. I totally get it. There's a lot of people that you can watch on YouTube, and I'm just one of many, so I get it. But for those of you who are new, again, I am doing the Tula Pink Butterfly Quilt version number 2, and I'm doing this in conjunction with Miss Tiffany of Tiffany's Quilting Life. And we do this, or we do a live session every Saturday starting at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, where both of us are on. And she works on her quilt, I work on mine. and we're just kind of in here chatting, and we give tips about for those that want to make the quilt. And I know there's a handful of you that are making this quilt. So, yeah, so again, that's Saturdays starting at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That's a live session right here on the Treasure Heart Creations channel with Miss Tiffany of Tiffany's Quilting Life. And as a bonus, because this week is actually a long week, I believe Monday is Labor Day, so I will be doing a short road trip out to Lake Havasu, and we will be seeing. I will be stopping by at Tiffany's place, and we will probably do something on her channel on her Soul Sundays. So that's what's going on with me. Let's see. So that's, let's see. It doesn't seem that long, Eric. No, it really doesn't, Claudia. It went by really fast because there's been a lot of drama here. For those, well, I've been kind of telling the people on the Zoom call what's been going on, but my neighbors, when I originally moved in here, there was another couple that was next door to me, and within a month or two, they actually moved out because there was something wrong with their unit, and they ended up bringing up a lawsuit against the management company of this complex. And I ran into them the other day, fairly recently, and they told me that they won the lawsuit. So I'm happy for them. What was bad about the whole situation, though, is the fact that, well, they moved all their stuff in, and they have to pay to move everything out. So, yeah, it's like wasted money. You know, you pay for the movers to help you move stuff in, and then, you know, hopefully you want to stay here for a while, but nope, they moved right out. And since I've been here for the whole year, I've seen about half the residents kind of leave this place. So, yeah, a lot of drama goes on here. Hot topic today. Okay, thank you, Miss Suzanne Taylor. This is kind of I forgot to actually change the hot topic, but we can repeat it. What other kind of crafts are you heavily involved in? So Kim says, I love to cook and bake. I crochet, I do hand embroidery, cross stitch, hand piecing, and hand quilting. And Nancy Evans says, I know you'll have fun. I love watching you at Tiffany's house. You're all so funny together. Well, thank you. Yeah, it's always fun to visit with Tiffany and to be on her channel, because I'm not the one worried about all this technical stuff. Okay. Don't know what exactly we'll be doing, though, yet. Actually, I do have to call her to remind her. She told me to do that. Oh, there's the other one. Okay. Cynthia Kirk says, I finished a quilt for my husband tonight, went to Goodwill, bought a bunch of different flannel shirts, cut them into squares. Flannel shirts. Don't think I ever made a flannel quilt. I've used flannel as backing, though. Christine Hoffman says, I finished my Tula Butterfly Quilt top last week. Took me 2.5 weeks. No, I need to quilt that monster on my domestic. Well, good luck with that. And I also had the kids write a message to him on printable fabric and incorporated them in the quilt. Oh, that is sweet, Cynthia. Hey, Jim. More half square triangles. Okay. I kind of noticed that I didn't have a whole variety of red fabric, so I'm choosing to go with this reddish, orangish, brownish mix of colors. And whatnot. Hopefully it'll just kind of all blend in. But this is going to be one very eclectic looking quilt with all these colors. I did not use any Tula Pink fabric for this, but Tiffany has, well, she's using all Tula Pink, I believe, but it's not exactly the same fabric line that is in the pattern booklet. So yeah, we did our best. And we're just making do with whatever we got. So let's see. I'll switch to my square ruler. Where are you? Yeah. Okay. So I'm just going to trim this up, and then we will move on to the next color, which is another red, or the next fabric, which is another red color. Okay. Jim Bennett says he also knits, crochets, bakes, cooks, and will try anything at least once. Well, you're just like me, Jim. Deanna Jane says, Tiffany gave me the idea to cut up my scraps in bark sizes? Oh, basic sizes. I do cut up my scraps to some certain sizes, but I don't go crazy. Like I know some people do. One of my friends, okay, I could not believe that she actually does this, but she uses all these sizes. She does a 1.5. No, she starts where she cuts it up to a 1.5 square. then she goes to 2.5, then 1.5, then 2-inch squares, then 2.5, then 2 3/4, and then 3-inch squares, then 3 3/4, no, 3 1/4, then 3.5, and then 3 3/4, then 4. She goes up 1/4 inch all the way from between 1.5 all the way to a 7-inch square. And I just thought that was like ridiculous. But when she told me why she does that, because she does design her own patterns, and you know, as a pattern writer, you have to be able to kind of give, or if you have to be able to kind of for one pattern, she has different size blocks. So she does use all of those different sizes for various reasons. So for her, it made sense to keep different size squares like that. For me, I keep it simple. I only do, well, I'm starting to do 1.5-inch squares, and I'm actually kind of liking it. I do 1.5-inch squares. I do 2.5-inch squares. I'm not doing 5-inch squares as much, but I am keeping 5-inch strips and 2.5-inch strips. But I know there's a lot of people that have like a crazy amount of cut sizes that they will pre-cut their scraps to, which is fine if you're going to use it, but I don't use that many or that variation of sizes. Oh, forgot one more. 1, 2, 3, 4. And these two are the extras. You know, I'm really starting to really like this rotary cutter. I might not cut fabric yardage using this rotary cutter, but if it's for trimming or just simple cuts, like if I'm sitting here at the sewing table, I'm really liking it because it's a good weight, it's a good size. It fits my hand pretty well. But if I'm cutting fabric yardage, I'm still probably gonna use the Martelli. Okay, so let's add this to my, I want to call this my charcuterie board of fabric. So we'll add that. Here's red, there's that. And I have a pile of extras here of just hodgepodge, whatever. If I feel like swapping it out when I start putting the quilt together, I'm going to just grab one of these. The charcuterie board of fabric. Okay, so these are extra, in which I got a pile of squares there. And we'll do this red, kind of a dark brownish red here. Cindy says, I collect craft supplies and sometimes use some of them. Oh, I can identify with that hobby. Suzanne, Deanna Jane says, that's insane. Suzanne Taylor says, that's insane. Yep. Yep, but like I said, she uses all of those different sizes because, again, she is a pattern writer and she has to make blocks, or when she writes a pattern, she has to make it so that you can do the block in various sizes. So guess what? She's going to be, she's going to have you cut the different, or she has to have pre-cut sizes in various numbers. Oh boy, this is really cut off. This was really not cut very well, so I hope they gave me a little extra. Whoops. Nope. There we go. Got it now. And I'm just going to cut a strip of this off. Put that down. Okay, I got a question, and I should have put this as our hot topic for today. Let's see, what is your favorite quilt block? Or more specifically, okay, what is your favorite quilt block that uses half square triangles? What would mine be? I don't know. I'm trying to think of blocks that use half square triangles. Not necessarily where the block is all half square triangles, but it uses a good chunk of them. Deanna, the brand of this rotary cutter, it's a Quilter Select. Yeah. It's solid metal. I mean, this is not cheap plastic, and it is a weighted rotary cutter. So when you pick it up, it's maybe about a pound or maybe half a pound or so, but it helps you so that you're not like having to push down on the rotary cutter so much. Let me move the camera a little bit this way. Okay. So that's part of the reason I do like it. It's solid construction. It's metal pieces. It's a weighted rotary cutter, so you don't you're not like pushing down on it so hard, unlike some of these other rotary cutters like this OFA. It was given to me for free as part of a package, and I mean, I did use it for a while. It's plastic though, so it wasn't my favorite rotary cutter. Let me just say that. But I do like this one. Ooh, caught the selvage. Okay, I'll take that one out. There's extra in here anyway. Let's see. Deanna Jane says the Tango quilt. I'll have to look that one up. Wanda Rogers says Churn Dash. Guess who Nancy says the Friendship Star. Jim Bennett says Wonky Star, sort of. Okay. Wonky stars. How about a basket block? Does anybody like that? And let's see, I'll make 2 more. Ooh, did I just crack my nail? Ouch. Okay, and I will grab a piece of scrap just so I can sew off on it. Let's see here. Here we go. I got the blue and this red. Doesn't match, but it'll work. Just sewing 2 crumbs just so I can get that off. All right. Deanna Jean says, it's made with layer cake. Make 8 half square triangles at a time. Okay. The easy 8 method. Linda Fugate says, since I was so ill last winter, the Olga cutter is the easiest on my hand since it is lighter. You know, it's really not, it's not a horrible rotary cutter. I mean, it is light, just not my favorite, but I know this is a very popular brand. It's good for if you are like just beginning to learn how to quilt, and it's they're not that expensive either. So it's a popular brand. But when I first started quilting, I think it was a Fiskars that I used, which was not, I really didn't like that one. The OFA brands are very popular because you can change the blades rather easily. And again, they're not very expensive at all. It's a good rotary cutter if you're just starting out to quilt. But, you know, I kind of outgrew it. I'll use it if I have to. I mean, but it wouldn't be my first choice of rotary cutters. And some people still swear by it, and there's nothing wrong with the rotary cutter. It's just my own personal preference. Oh, Carpenter Star. Now that's a block I didn't think of. Come to think of it, I don't think I've ever made a Carpenter Star. I mean, it's not hard to do. It's just a matter of how you arrange the half square triangles. Kimber says she also likes the Ohio Star. And Suzanne Taylor says, I love any star block, okay? And Kim Burr says, I have a pink one like that, easier on her hands. I think she's talking about the rotary cutter. I'm hooked on Olga from Missouri Star Quilt Company. Deanna Jane is asking, what is the advantage of the Martelli cutter? Okay, so let me just press this real quick and I'll answer that question. Ooh. Give it a shot of steam there. Oh, sorry. Okay, so where is my Martelli? Oh, there it is. Okay, so there's various styles of rotary cutters that you can get. Most common one is the this style here, where it's the stick. Well, I don't know if that's the official name of it, but you know, you got rotary cutters. I mean, I call these the stick. There's also some ergonomic rotary cutters. Let's see if I have it somewhere. Not here, but there's some other rotary cutters in which, instead of like these OFAs, the release mechanism is right there. There's some where it's actually, you have to kind of squeeze the handle and you hold it with your thumb like that. The Martelli, you put your finger across over the blade. There's a plastic covering right there. So it's really just a matter of what feels comfortable for you. One of the reasons why I don't care for this style of rotary cutter is when you cut, it kind of hurts the wrist, because I'm usually putting it at an angle like that. And so if I'm cutting like a whole quilt out, it puts a strain on your hand, and it kind of puts a strain on my wrist here, because again, I'm bending it and I'm having to kind of put a lot of pressure down on there, in which I found that my whole arm just gets really tired. Okay. Now this rotary cutter, again, it's a weighted rotary cutter, so there's some there's some weight to this. So when I cut the fabric, I don't have to press down as hard. Whereas this is pretty light because it is plastic. And so in order for me to get a really good cut, especially if I'm going through like 5-6 layers of fabric, I do kind of have to press down rather hard. I will use rotary cutters like this if I'm just trimming up a block, but if I'm cutting fabric yardage, I'd rather go and use this Martelli. The thing about the Martelli, rotary cutter is that it uses, rather than you pressing down on it, you're actually, the power of the, or the pressure actually comes from the palm of your hand. So when you do cut, it's like you're using just the force of the palm of your hand and just the weight of your shoulder to just kind of push or cut or slice through the fabric there. So it's a lot more relaxed because you're not bending your wrist or kind of contorting your wrist so much, and it just kind of makes it for an easy cut. It takes a little bit of getting used to because of the fact that you have to orient your hand in a certain way, much different from what these will do. But for a lot of quilters that do use the Martelli, one of the things that they always say is that it kind of relaxes your hand and it's not so strenuous on your wrist. So I know for Tiffany, because she also likes the Martelli, she says this is the only rotary cutter that doesn't bother her hand. And that's something that I've heard a lot of quilters say. So I hope that answers your question. Wanda Rogers says, I have the AccuCut die for Carpenter Star, but have not made it yet. Hey, Rhonda Barlow. Okay, and Cindy is saying good night. Well, good night, Cindy. Wow. I've been on for almost an hour and I got 8 half square triangles done. Yes, I'm very, very slow. But, you know, every time I sew on a live, I always go slower anyway because there's a lot of things that you got to pay attention to, not just what you're sewing. So, okay. Okay. One thing bad about the Martelli, if you are a quilter that can cut fabric using both your left and your right hand, or you're ambidextrous in that sense, Martelli cutters are not interchangeable. So in other words, this is a right-handed cutter. I cannot use this with my left hand. Well, I could, but I'd be living dangerously. So yeah, I know some people, especially like if they're squaring up blocks like this, you know, you cut one way, you cut top, and then they switch hands, then they cut the final side there, and then they cut the bottom. And they can do that without rotating the block or whatever it is that they're cutting. So that's one disadvantage. Whereas in a rotary cutter, even these OFAs, you know, you can cut it this way. I can cut over the top and then I can switch hands, cut it this way, and then cut the bottom. So that's one advantage that you do have with these style of rotary cutters, and that, you know, you don't need a separate rotary cutter specifically if you're right-handed or you're left-handed. They will work both ways. But again, Martelli, yeah, if you're right-handed, you can only use this one for right-handed. There is a blue one, and that is specifically for left-handed. gives me an idea. Maybe I need to actually do a video analyzing these rotary cutters or different rotary cutters. Well, I might as well trim these. Well, I gotta press those. Okay. What's weird though is even though I'm not using a Martelli cutter right now, I will still hold this rotary cutter as if I am using the Martelli. And maybe I just got too used to it. I don't know. So. Yeah, so Deanna, even if you are left-handed, there is a Martelli cutter. Again, it's blue colored, in which that is how you know that that cutter is for left-handed people. So you're not excluded from that. So if you do want to buy it and try it out, again, I would highly recommend to just try it. Because I personally, I do like that, the Martelli cutter. I do know some people that hate it though, because it just feels weird for them and they never get used to the handle and how you hold it. So again, it's just one of those things where it's personal preference. And I just realized that the camera is picking up on the size of this block, which I'm not supposed to really give away, but that's okay. It's one block out of, who knows? It's just one, well, not one block, one unit out of, I forget how many units there are total in this whole quilt. Whoops, it shifted. So we got another stack of 4 and I made 2 extra. So where's my fabric charcuterie board? Okay, we got the reds. Now let's do I have another pink? I got enough blues. See, these are all the extra squares that I cut. And I'll put these there. Now I'm going to trim that one up to a different size because guess what I'm going to do? We'll make it 2.5 here. Now we'll just cut a 2.5 inch square out of this. Okay, and Hi, Michelle. Rhonda Barlow asks, what makes me use one style of rotary cutter as opposed to another? That's a great question. Um, I was originally just started using this particular rotary cutter just because I had it and I wanted to test it out. I actually purchased this rotary cutter a couple of months ago, earlier this year, I think around February. I think I may have got it at QuiltCon, but anyway, I just wanted to test it out. I've heard some great things about weighted rotary cutters, so wanted to find out for myself, and totally forgot that I purchased it. And then maybe about a week ago or 2 weeks ago, I found it again in a pile of stuff over there. And I figured, you know what? It was still in its package. Let's open it and let's see see how I feel about it. And since then, I mean, we used it for about 2 weeks now, and I'm starting to like it. Usually, let's see, if I'm trimming up or cutting small stuff or just regular pieces like this, like if I'm on a live, I mean, I will use this. I will use the Martelli. To me, I mean, I've been using it for so long now. If I'm cutting a lot of fabric or cutting yardage, if I'm cutting a whole quilt, I'll go to the Martelli because, again, the strain on my wrist and my hand, it's a lot less severe. But if I'm just trimming up, you know, trimming a block or cutting small pieces just to make a block, I'll go with one of these rotary cutters here. It's just a matter of preference of what's available around me. Okay. Where do you purchase the pattern? I will say that a lot of people have emailed me. The pattern is kind of not in print right now, so it's very difficult to find. So you can try and find it on Amazon. There might be people that are selling it on Etsy, even eBay. I was lucky enough to actually find it in a quilt shop here locally that had it in stock. Let me grab the pattern. Okay. So it's the Tula Pink Butterfly Quilt, the second edition or the version 2. If you have the first edition, from what people have told me, it's not that much different. Okay. I bought mine at Soya here in Las Vegas. And that was about, a couple of years ago, actually. Since then, they have not replenished this pattern. So again, you can try Amazon, you can try Etsy, you can try, what is the other one? eBay. See if people are just selling the pattern. Okay. But I have had people tell me that they've had difficulty trying to find the pattern, unfortunately, because again, it's not in, I don't think it's in print anymore. Do, 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 do. Oh, didn't quite get that. Okay. Alrighty. Add that to there. Okay, do I have another pink? I'll do one more set of half square triangles. No, Rhonda, you're definitely not the only one that forgets they bought something. I am definitely part of that group. Okay, you know what? I already did. I need another pink, but unfortunately, I'm only left with this now. These are all the fat quarters that I pulled out just to make this quilt. And I've been kind of adding some stuff, or adding scraps. Let's see, do I have any pinks left in this bin here? Nope, only purple. Ooh, but I could use this. Yep, let's go for it. Although I got a lot of purple though. Let's just go for it. Oops. Shuffling stuff around. Oh, wait a minute. I see something. Haha. Here's a pink. That's a bright pink. I'll use this instead. And apparently I did already use it. Cut something out. What did I use this for? I can't remember. Okay, we'll give this a quick press, because this, and actually this works out because I'm not going to need to use the whole. I just need a small square of this, so I can, let's see, fold it this way, and I can cut a sliver off of this. I'll throw that back. Now I can start trimming this down. Trim that. So anybody got special plans for this long weekend? Gosh, it's almost September. Can you guys believe that? I kind of woke up this morning saying, wow, this weekend is already September. No, that's too small. Too skinny. Ooh-doo-doo-doo. Okay, so Cynthia Kirk says Missouri Star Quilt Company and Fat Quarter Shop still have the pattern. That's good to know. Hey, Sin. Around the bar. Okay, is the sound back on? Yep, looks like it. Sorry about that. Good thing I had a backup microphone. Okay. Okay, we'll just do these last half square triangles and we will call it alive. Because wow. I didn't actually intend on, well, I was planning on just staying for about an hour, but looks like we're almost 2 hours in, sort of. Nope. About an hour and a half in, so. And the camera. Okay, and I'm just gonna sew off on that just so I can get this block off and get this done. Well, and snap the thread again. This thread was doing so well. Now suddenly it wants to break all the time. Man, oh man. One thing about industrial machines, they are very finicky about thread. So maybe I need to, well, come on. I need to experiment with other brands of thread then. I thought this was the one. All right. We'll square these up. I love it when I see tutorials using fabrics I have too. You know, I don't even know where I got this fabric or this particular fat quarter. Maybe did I get it at Walmart? Maybe I did. You know, speaking of which, since Joann's went out, I've been buying fabrics a lot more from Walmart, especially if I just want something small and inexpensive. So, yeah. Have I tried Amon from Wawa's? No. Is that a type of thread? Never heard of that brand. Rhonda Barlow says, I couldn't hear you when you answered my question. What was your answer? Sorry, what was your question? Wait, let me scroll back up. Okay. Oh, okay. So do I have a cutie quilting frame? No, I don't. I do have the Handy Quilter Moxie, which is on the smaller side of a long arm machine. I One of these days I'm gonna get that machine fully set up. Right now the frame is up, but it's just got a whole bunch of junk. It's kind of more or less a storage table. So I haven't put the machine on and put the pulls and quilted anything on it yet. Not that I've had anything to quilt on it yet, because I've just been kind of making blocks, pieces of blocks here and there. So, yeah. But I do have a Handy Quilter Moxie. You know, a lot of people have said that it's a horrible machine simply because of the throat space. But the thing is, I like it only, and since I'm not making huge bed quilts, and when I do quilt, or when I do the quilting, I tend to quilt stuff to death. So having a big throat space is not, I mean, it's not a big deal for me. I know people like Tiffany, for example, she needs to, or when she does her quilting design, she needs a lot of space. But for me, the throat space on a machine doesn't really matter because again, I'm usually doing stuff very, very tiny and very densely, so it doesn't bother me. And again, I'm not doing like whole bed-size quilts anymore. Most of, at I guess the largest that I'm doing these days is just a throw size. So maybe um, something that is about 7 or 8 feet. So, did I mail out the craft stuff from friend's mother? Half of it did go out, Jim. The other half I still have yet to mail out. It's kind of costing me a lot, so just bear with me. One box is about $50, which I was not expecting. Okay, so I do apologize for that. Got hit with some financial troubles because of the windshield being broken and my car being broken into. But I am getting those boxes out. Hopefully, I can get the rest of them out within the next couple of weeks. So I am terribly sorry about the huge delay for that. But yeah, what I am getting them out. Aman is a popular, well-known thread. Never heard of it. Okay. It is used by many who have industrial machines. It's been around for a very long time, and it's a proven product. Well, thank you for that, Sin. I'll have to find it. Maybe next time I head back to Los Angeles, I'll stop by the factories and see if they have it on sale or if that they're selling it. That's funny. I've never heard of Aman. I know a lot of the sewing factories that I used to go to when I was living in Los Angeles, they use not permacore. What is the other one? Signature. Their industrial machines, and the Signature thread kind of holds up. Is it the most fancy thread? No, but hey, as long as it functions, and well, as long as it holds the fabric pieces together, I'm good. But if I were quilting, I don't know. I may want to use a much more a different brand of thread. But thanks for that tip. I'll check out that brand and see what people say about it. Okay, here we go. And trim that. So yeah, this is the one part of half square triangles that I just really don't care for doing, is the trimming up. When you got thousands or hundreds of them to do, man, oh man. Like I say, if anybody wants to invent a machine that can automatically trim your half square triangles, I think you would be an instant millionaire, because all of us quilters will gladly pay for that machine. If it's going to be a time saver, yeah, I would definitely do that. Or I wonder if AccuQuilt can just come up with a die that'll trim it down for you. Wouldn't that be something? Do, 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 do. Okay. Do, 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 do. Ooh, ooh, ooh. You quilt on your regular machine. Now I need to look through your videos to see if you did a tutorial. I do not quilt on this Juki here. This Juki, okay, one thing you gotta know about industrial machines is that they're specifically designed to handle certain types of sewing, if I should put it that way. In other words, this particular Juki, it's only it struggles to sew through thick material. It's basically designed for garment sewing. So it can sew through things like denim, but it will struggle to do so. So if I were to actually do a whole quilt and try and do the quilting using this machine, it would not be pretty. Again, it's specifically designed to sew through lightweight fabrics. It can go through some of the thicker things like canvas or denim, but the stitches are not going to be very pretty, again, because the machine's not designed to do that or to go through those types of material. And that's one of the drawbacks of having an industrial machine. The thing, most domestic machines, like your Berninas, your Singers, you know, they kind of have the home sewist in mind, in that, you know, you're not just going to be making quilts, you'll be making bags, you'll be making clothes. You'll be making whatever sewing projects you want to do. Whereas in the industrial factories, each sewing machine has a specific type of function that it needs to perform, and it needs to perform it at a high speed and high quality. And so when you have industrial machines like this Juki here, you know, it's specifically designed to do one thing and one thing only, and that's all it does. So while I can sew through thicker materials, it's not going to do it very well because again, it's not designed to do so. So even though I do have this Juki, it only does a straight stitch, and I was even surprised that it has a back stitch. But if I'm going to quilt on something, if I'm going to do, or if I need to do like machine applique where I need to zigzag or do a zigzag stitch, you know, I have to take out my brother machine, or again, I do have the Moxie where I can kind of do the actual quilting on a quilt. And I still have my old Juki 2010 TL where I can actually do some quilting on that if I have a small project. So, yeah, I wouldn't necessarily. Again, this machine I only use for piecing stuff. I don't do any kind of quilting on here. Even if I'm trying to bind a quilt, I wouldn't necessarily use this particular machine. I would go to like my brother's sewing machine or my old Juki where it can handle it. This machine will struggle with that. So okay, Sin Forest says, I mailed a quilt from San Diego, California to Seattle, and it was $75. Wow. And that was about 3 years ago. Postage is crazy, almost $2 to send a birthday card to a friend in Australia. Yep. I spent $80 just sending a pattern from the West Coast to the East Coast of Canada. Put it that way. Yep. Remo J's asking, am I still moving? I'm still kind of unpacking stuff. I was thinking about moving because my lease is up and my rent just increased $700. So, yeah, but now that I kind of, well, I've been kind of negotiating with the management company, and they're having a hard time just kind of filling vacancies. So they might be willing to give me back my old rent rate, which I'm fingers crossed they're going to do. Okay, where is my charcuterie board? Okay, we got one more pink. These are all the extras. So, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So that's 80, 88, 92, 96, 100, 104. And these. Still got a long ways to go. But, yeah. Still got a ways to go. But I've been cutting some extra squares, so that's a good thing. All right, guys. I'm going to call it a live here. So any last minute questions, put it in the chat for now. Again, I am doing the Tula Pink Butterfly Quilt, the second edition. And I am doing this in conjunction or together with Tiffany of Tiffany's Quilting Life. We do a live stream right here on this YouTube channel, Treasure Heart Creations. We go live at 5 p.m. on Saturdays, Pacific Standard Time. And it's just me and her sewing and putting together this quilt. So Tiffany is way ahead of me. I'm just playing catch up right now. And so I'm just taking the extra time to kind of get my blocks and get my pieces sewn together. So that's what I was doing tonight. Again, you can join us on Saturday, 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, right here on the Treasure Heart Creations YouTube channel. And I will be live with Tiffany once again. And Sunday, I will be joining Tiffany on her Sew Sunday. And I'm not sure what the project is this time around, but we'll be doing something fun and crazy. If you've seen us two together on a live, you know what you're up for. So, okay, so that'll be it for tonight. I want to thank you guys for joining me, keeping me company here. Hope that you guys enjoyed this. All right, fingers crossed for old rent. Thank you, Suzanne. Christy Smith, hello. She says, I love watching you late at night. Haven't started my butterfly quilt, but I will soon. Okay. So, and again, I mentioned this at the beginning of the live, but there is, I don't want to say a mistake, but when you do the half square triangles, they actually overestimated the cut size by 1/2 inch. So if you're comfortable doing 2 at a time half square triangles, you can actually decrease your cut size by 1/2 inch. If you have the pattern, you probably know what I mean by that. All right, guys, have a great evening. Have a great rest of the week. We will see some of you hopefully on Saturday and also on Sunday. So until then, let's all get out there. Let's all create something. Mwah! Bye for now.